Hey everybody, Eric from Alpha Advisors, here with another video today talking about what you need to do, especially if you're an international student, right, to get a job in the United States, right, to get an offer in the United States. So this is a huge topic, right? Obviously, many people decide to go to business school to get that job, right? To get to change their careers, to advance, get promoted, and get that money, right? And so this is the hard topic, really. And I'll be talking a little bit about what you need to do to be successful on this journey. All right. So if you're new to the channel, like and subscribe. And let me know what kind of contents you might be interested in hearing. And all right, let's get right into it. Oh, of course, before I do want to give a shout out to those or some of the listeners that are out there who have already gotten an MBA. Okay. If you're interested in working with us as an advisor, come chat with us. Your experience will help other people for sure on their journey. And so if you're interested in working with us, if you're curious to get to know, check out my video about working as an alpha advisor, as a consultant, or just come chat with us on the website. All right, so getting a job in the US first of all, is incredibly difficult, okay? Forget the fact that you may be an international student. It's hard as it is for a domestic student, all right? Trust me when I tell you this. It's incredibly hard with the job market, which has been going really well, but during COVID, my goodness, it was difficult. So here are some of the tips obviously these are not conclusive, but here's something that you can definitely use, the things that I will be talking about as you prepare and strategize your job search, okay, within the United States. Number one is to decide what career path to get into. Okay. This is a super simple question. It's an obvious one, obviously, but people actually don't do this. Okay. For many people, I've spoken with hundreds of people, ask them, do you like their job? Right. I asked them, why did you decide to get into that job? And about 80% of the people would tell me, well, I work for this company, or I do this job because of the money, right? It pays the bills. I do this job because it's a family business. I do this because it was a job that I got and I didn't get a job anywhere else, right? So many people, it's rare that people are satisfied with what they do now, okay? And because of that, when you're working at a full-time work, when you're at a full-time job, maybe you have a family, maybe you have other extracurricular responsibilities, people can become content with what they're doing and stop thinking about what career or job that they actually want to do, right? So first things first is get yourself some time to do some deep soul searching, do some deep reflection, and try to envision yourself 10, 20 years from now. What do you want to do, right? It's in specifics too, right? What company do you want to be working for, and what job or what job title would you want to have by then, right? Your long-term career goal. And so to accomplish your long-term career goal, what short-term goals do you need to have, right? For example, let's just say you want to be a CEO for Amazon. Okay, let's just say, okay, CEO for Amazon. That's your long-term career goal. Well, most likely to become a CEO at a large corporation like Amazon, you need to climb up the corporate ladder, right? So in order to be a level 8, for example, you need to be a level 7. To be a level 7, you need to be a level 6, right? And each of those levels has jobs associated with it, or on that pay grade. So CEO, vice president, director, right? Senior manager, right? And all these job titles. So what is the career path? right? The job that you want to have in your long term, right? What are your short-term goals? Now, next step is, of course, and it's just leaning on from that, the specifics of company and job. Um, what industry are you wanting to get into as well? This is important because it then reveals your motivation, right? For example, I've changed my career, my own career, from the retail industry into the healthcare and pharmaceutical industry. Why? Because personally, I wanted to change a career or change my industry because I just wasn't passionate enough in the retail industry. For example, I never woke up in the morning excited and passionate of thinking about selling $1,000 luxury handbag to a rich person somewhere in Europe, right? I just wasn't excited or passionate about that. While it was fun to grow the business in terms of sales, I just wasn't passionate about that. I wanted to do something that was going to help people improve their lives. And so naturally, I looked towards the tech industry or the healthcare industry, right? And that's the story. That's my story of more motivation, so to say, and which becomes really important as you organize, as you create your story and tell these companies why you're interested in working for that company. Because inevitably during interviews, they will ask you these questions, right? Why are you, so you have, if you're a career switcher, especially. Now, if you are already working in the industry that you want to be in, let's just say you're working in consulting, right? And you want to be a partner one day. To do that, you need to understand what you need to do to get to that role. Kind of going back to number one really quick, right? What do you need to do to get to become a partner, right? So be specific in terms of what industry you want to get into, what job role that you want to do. Okay, be specific as you can to reveal your motivation and story behind it. Okay, then ask yourself the question: what is required for me to accomplish that? Okay. Now, one thing to take into consideration is that the United States of America, okay, as entrepreneurial as people are, right? And I mean, there's you hear these stories where people graduated high school, or sometimes didn't even graduate high school and built their business, and they're millionaires or billionaires for that matter, right? And there are people that are against higher education will say that, right? You don't need a degree to become successful. All that is true, obviously, but that's for their goals and their long-term goals and what they want to achieve, right? So if you want to become a partner at a XYZ consulting firm, most likely you will need an MBA to get into that path, right? Becoming a partner one day. If you want to become get a promotion within your finance organization, you'll most likely need to get an MBA. Several reasons to that. Number one, the job structure is, of course, the senior managers and all that. Like they are MBA holders, yes. At the same time, companies in the United States, they are aggressive in hiring MBA talents for summer internships or full-time opportunities. And it's interesting. It's talking about the MBA specifically. I like to call it a license to change careers. Okay, there's obviously a difference in full-time MBA, online MBA, right? There's differences in both of these MBAs are different. While they're called MBAs, they're different products. But for promotion, if you're looking to get promoted within a company, you'd probably be okay with an online MBA because the MBA is a degree that you need, right? Now, if you're someone like myself, of course, that doesn't say the traditional MBA is not important. It is, because there are merits to it. For example, for someone like myself who wants to change their career and need that network right? To make that happen, and and learn about, not only learn about the industry, but also the set yourself up for a career in the future. The business principles and knowledge you learn at school is obviously important, but the reality of it is they are outdated in just mere few years, right? What lasts you a what lasts you a lifelong is your network, and so I was able to make great close friends in school, and they will be part of my career for in the long term. So that's the important thing about the MBA, full time, a traditional MBA. And so, what is needed, right? Which MBA fits you the best? Okay, so what degree is needed to accomplish that? And I talk about the MBA, but obviously it can be any other degrees as well, right? All right. Number 4 is research the school and the placement report. So this is important because as you do your research, and if you want to become a senior consultant in Bain, for example, right? Getting an MBA and getting an MBA is now getting an MBA at a random school is not going to work out. Okay, that's the point. You want to go to schools like Columbia, Harvard, or some of these top schools. Why? Because when you look at the placement reports from these companies, okay, most of these Bain, for example, they hire a lot from schools like Columbia, Harvard, and NYU, and other schools like that. So understand where your target companies are recruiting. Okay, this will change everything. I may say this might change everything, because number one, in terms of not only recruiting aspect, but in terms of salary, right? If your school, now the school companies will hire you in the standard amount, but if you go to a high ranking school or your target company's top tier school, the amount of salary and the effort of recruiting is different. I believe is different, and you will have more advantages of doing so. But of course, that is neither here or there. You will want to do your own research in terms of the school and study the replacement reports closely. Okay, understand where which schools are likely to get into your top tier company. All right. The next step is networking. So talk to some of these alumni after you've done your research in schools and your target companies. Start networking, right? Network those who you may have a similar background or come from a same country even. That's what you really want to do when you're an international student, because let's say I am an Indian and I want to work for P&G, right, in the United States. First thing I will start doing is, are there any Indians working in P&G in the United States? And you'll afterwards, after that, you will quickly find out that, gee, there are some maybe some executives that might be an Indian, but gee, I don't see any MBA graduates that are working in P&G in the roles that I'm looking for, right? You may find that. And that makes sense because as you do so, as many global companies do, and this is the reason why it's so hard for international students to work in the US, is because large companies, they want to hire local talents, right? It's not needed to sponsor really. Rather, they want you to go back to your country and work, such as the case for P&G, for example. But it's not always the case. Okay. What do I mean by that? Well, from what I hear from recruiters, okay, companies change every year, it seems like, in terms of whether they will sponsor or not. And also, it depends on what role. Okay, they sponsor certain roles and some roles they don't. It's just, and they change that periodically. So you want to do that research, and it's hard to do that research, and that really leads on to networking. Okay, your classmates, your schools will become important, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a sec. The next step is for you to understand is the recruiting cycle. Okay, in the United States, we follow a specific recruiting cycle, especially in the MBA. Recruiting starts from July, and it really starts to kick in around September and October, and people are getting offers by October or in November. Okay, that's kind of the general guideline. But if you're in consulting, it's a little bit different. I hear that it is a little late, and so they start their interview or offers around extend offers around December or January. So it depends. So you need to understand the recruiting cycle for the jobs that you're applying for and want to pursue, and accordingly make plans. But networking is something that you ought to do. This networking is something you ought to do from now even, and understand when your target companies are starting their recruiting cycle. Okay, that information comes from networking, whether networking with the recruiter, networking with those that are already working in the company, or students that may have current students that may have internship there, etc. Our number 7. Okay, so knowing what company sponsors. This is the trick, isn't it? I mean, let me tell you a story where I went to a national Black conference in September. This is the largest in-person career event that MBA students can go to. And many of my friends, they're from India, they're from China, and other countries, and they would line up. They would line up right in this long line, so just so that they can have the opportunity to talk to a Johnson and Johnson, to a other high profile Fortune 500, even 100 companies, right? So they would get in this line, right? They wait and stand and walk and stand and for 30 to 40 minutes, and they're excited, right? Okay, it's their turn. They're next in line. They're thinking about the elevator pitch again. They're running it in their mind, and they have their business card to give, and you're ready. You bring on that big smile when it's your turn, so you have that good impression, and you walk up to the recruiter and say, "Hi, I'm so and so," and the first thing they tell you is, "Nice to meet you, but just so you know, our company don't sponsor." And that's that. And oh, okay, thank you so much. And the conversation just goes in this awkward silence. And I guess I'll talk to you later. Right? That's how it goes. It went for many of these international students, and it's just terrible. And it's just so unfortunate to hear things like that happening. Well, that happens for several reasons, right? Number one is the networking wasn't done prior to going to that booth and speaking to a recruiter, right? And you needed to understand what companies, before you talk to these sponsors or to these recruiters at these events, you need to understand specifically which companies sponsor. So how do you do that? Well, you can do that in multiple ways. And that kind of goes on to my last point, is to continue to use your network. It's really at the end of the day, whether that be your career center, okay, advisement center, or whatever you may call them, at your school, and your classmates is another excellent resource. The recruiter that you may get in touch with through network events that your school may sponsor, or from your own personal outreach, or perhaps you can contact employees that are already working for that company. So is continue to network, and this information continues to change. So don't get fooled by if one of your classmates say, yeah, that company doesn't, yeah, I tried to apply for internship there last year and they didn't sponsor. Don't give up just yet. It may have changed. It might not be, understand, it might not be the same role that you're applying for. And so perhaps it may be better to get a couple of names from your classmates, right? To the recruiter or someone that they may have. So again, it's trying to understand who utilizing network to get more names to get the information you want, right? Whether that be sponsorship in this case. So that's it really. These are the essential steps that you need to take to be successful and getting and working in the United States. Okay, getting a job offer in the United States is incredibly difficult, not only for international students but for domestic students as well. And so, for you to be successful, um, I will advise you a couple of things. Number one is to consider these steps and do deep soul searching from number one, right? What you want to do, what your long-term goal is. And then number two, and then finally number two is to work with us at Alpha Advisor. Come visit us, all right? We offer free counseling. The link in the description below. Come chat with us. Give us your thoughts. Where are you at on your journey? And we'll be happy to help. Okay. People have walked your path, and we can give you sound advisement, and help you win your offer to work in the United States. That is it for today, everybody. I'll see you next time. Looking forward to chatting with you. Come visit us. And okay, I'll see you on the next one.